Improvement equals change. For you logicians out there, you already understand the points being made. For the rest of you, there's a common logical fallacy that seems to go something like if A, then B. Therefore, if not A, not B. This is not correct. Or at least not necessarily correct. It is not logically necessary. And what I mean by that is, well, let me give you an example. That tends to teach better than a precept. Um, if a boy, then a human. What that does not necessarily mean is if not a boy, then not a human, because it could certainly be a girl and be a human. It does, however, logically necessitate that if not a human, not a boy. So that is logically necessary from the statement if A, then B, therefore if not B, not A. And so when we come to improvement equals change, it's a logical formula in some ways. If improvement, then change. And so you need to know several things about this. Number one, if you want to improve something, you're going to need to change it. And that change could be just more practice, right? So there's this old notion of the definition of insanity is to continue doing the same thing and expect different results. But that's actually what we do when we practice something. The idea there is that practicing makes you slightly better each time. And so you're not repeating the same exact thing, but you are, through repetition, developing skill and competence and confidence. But what it doesn't indicate that you get to have a better reality without instituting change currently. And that's almost always difficult. There's another leadership principle called the change valley we'll get to later, but the change valley kills a lot of organizations, not directly, but because people are scared of change, because they're unwilling to go through the change valley. They never see improvement. And so without changing anything, the results can actually get worse and worse and worse. But you can never get improvement without change. But the corollary of that, the logical corollary of that is that not every change brings improvement. So even though change is necessary for improvement, change is not necessarily good. It could be bad. You could destroy your organization by changing something. And so you definitely need to know what is your core principle, what is your mission that you're on, what are the values of your organization that are timeless and should never be changed. For the church, that's very simply defined in many ways by the creeds. The creeds of the early church before the great schism between East and West are binding on us. And so those are core teachings, core truths that we hold very tightly. And then outside of that, we're free to make changes in methodology, in all sorts of functional aspects, because we're not changing who we are. We're just seeking to find new and better ways of accomplishing the mission. We're not changing who we are. We're instead changing how we work in the world. And so as you are looking to try to navigate change in your organization, if you are a hesitant sort, if you are an anxious sort, err on the side of change. And if you're an impatient sort, if you're somebody that gets bored. You're not a disciplined person, not a self-disciplined person anyway, in many ways. By the way, before even risk the number one principle we talked about here, I would say the number one principle of leadership is that you must first learn to lead yourself. And so you have to go to the Socratic statement, know thyself. But there's a sense in which if you are that sort, then you need to lean in towards constancy, consistency, faithfulness over time, because these are the balancing acts of leadership, is instituting change so that you can have improvement, but also holding the line and maintaining the principles and even the systems and the functions of the organization, because once again, the 20% per year rule, don't change too much in your organization at any one given point in time. You need time to go through the change valley. You need time to metabolize the changes that you've already made. But you can never get better without change. Improvement equals change.